Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Bullet Basics. Today we've got a video planned. It's a follow-up video to one we did just a few weeks ago, actually, and that was the handgun and grouping video where we went into depth on different standards for how to judge what is good grouping and what is good accuracy. Today we want to simplify the video a little bit and put it a little more concisely. So in order to do that, we're going to talk about 3 different standards you can use to judge what is good grouping, what is good accuracy when using a handgun. Let's talk about the first standard that people use for grouping and accuracy. You know, what they use to know that they're doing well, to know that they're being accurate and that they're improving, whatever that is. And that is point and shoot accuracy. This is by far the most common one that I see. I go to the range, you go anywhere and you see people doing this, right? So they walk up to the firing line, whatever it is, they step up, they put their arms out and they fire, right? They'll take their time, they'll do whatever. And all they're trying to do is hit this bullseye and make the group as small as they possibly can. This is good, right? When you're learning all the things you need to learn, right? The proper grip, the proper trigger pull, the proper sight alignment, all those types of things you hear from all the gurus out there. This is the most common one you're going to use because you need to learn those types of things, right? How is the most comfortable way to stand? How is it going to work for me? After you start to learn those things, you're going to dial it in and you're going to get better and better and better. And then your grouping is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller to the point at which you're basically going to be putting a hole through the target. At that point, it starts to lose its value because you can put a hole through the target. You're good enough to do that. Now, there's still some things you can do, right? You can push the distance out further so that you're going 10, 15, 25 yards. At that point, it's going to get harder and harder for you to do that. But in essence, you should be able to point and shoot when you're just standing there with all the time in the world to pull up and shoot. You're going to be able to do that, right? Or you should be able to. And that's great. So I guess what I'm saying is when you're using kind of the accuracy standard of point and shoot, you should be able to put all the rounds more or less through one hole, right? 2 or 3 inch group at any distance from 3 yards to 20 yards, you should be able to be pretty darn accurate if you're just going to stand there and shoot. For those of you that are new, that's something to work up to. But for those of you that are experienced, I would say that there's some other standards that are good that you should push your skills with, right? You want to get better. You want to be able to know that you can be accurate under different kinds of stress and other types of situations, especially if you conceal carry, right? If you're going to carry a gun around with you, you want to know that I can shoot this gun and shoot it accurately if I'm under a very, very stressful situation, likely the most stressful situation that you will ever be in your life. And that brings us to the second standard for grouping or accuracy or whatever you want to call it, and that is qualification courses. Now you can look at the FBI, you can look at air marshals or any other federal agency, you can look at the military, you can look at any number of police departments across the nation, what they use for their standard of accuracy, what is good enough accuracy that we are comfortable to carry a gun and know that we're going to be accurate enough. And you'd actually probably be surprised at some of those. Most of them aren't saying, hey, we need one solid tiny little hole through the middle of the target. They don't care about any of that. They want to say, hey, look, you need to be accurate enough while practicing other skills. You want to be drawing from a holster or drawing from concealment or doing it at speed. Every one of these tests has some sort of timer where you have to do it in a certain amount of time at different distances, right? They want to know that you are able to adapt and complete different scenarios on a timer. Because in the end of the day, if you're in some sort of confrontation as somebody on duty that's carrying a duty gun, you need to know that you can use it quickly and use it efficiently. And so that's all those courses are looking for, right? A lot of them are, little square boxes of, 10 or 12 inches apart. I know the FBI course has one that's like 20 something inches. I'll annotate it on the video, but 26 inches, I believe, and it's 6 inches across, but then it tapers out to 12 inches across. The Dallas Police Department, I think theirs is 10 inches wide and 12 inches tall. The box that's full points. And what I mean by that is you get full points on the qualification test if you complete all their things and still hit all of your shots with inside that. For the FBI, the 6 inches up here, the 12 inches across, and 26, I think, inches down. And for the Dallas Police Department, it's 10 and 12, I think. And so if you hit all of your shots within that zone, you get full points. In essence, saying that's good enough accuracy. We don't care for you to be accurate more than that. What we do want to make sure is that you're fast enough, that you're safe, that you're efficient with your weapon. And I would say that's what this standard is really measuring. We want to measure all these skills. We want to improve all of these skills enough so that you are efficient with your weapon. We don't care that you have it all through one hole and it's all directly through the center or through the forehead. They don't care about that. Hitting in this general area is good enough accuracy as we practice these other skills. And so if we sit back and evaluate the second standard for accuracy and grouping, they really aren't looking, none of these qualification courses are looking for anything extremely accurate. They're just looking for accurate enough. But there is one problem, and I mentioned that in my other video as well. There's one problem with this second standard of accuracy. It's really good standard because it's going to push you. It's going to make you get out of your comfort zone and get better at shooting. But the problem is that it's a qualification course, and by their very nature, qualification courses are saying this is the minimum level of efficiency, the minimum level, acceptable level with your weapon that you have to be in order to qualify. In other words, carry the gun and do whatever you need to do as a law enforcement officer. And so that's a problem, right? If we're looking at the minimum standard, we don't want to know what the minimum standard is if we're practicing and if we like to do this and be better. We want to know what the best standard, right? And so, well, you can argue any way you want on what the best standard is and what it isn't. But if we look at competition shooting, we're talking about people that are not just trying to get the acceptable level. We're looking at people that are trying to be the very best, right? They're doing everything from concealment sometimes or from a holster or from whatever it is. And they're trying to outpace everybody else while still being accurate enough. So that's why I would call that kind of the gold standard, because it's doing everything the qualification courses are doing, but it's pushing you on time, right? You're trying to outpace everybody else. And if you do that, you win. If you don't, then you have to try and be better. Still be accurate enough, but be faster and faster and faster, right? And so this would be the gold standard. I would say this is the one that you should strive for. Not that you necessarily need to go to competition, but if you timed yourself with friends, if you did any number of other things to try to push your skills to the next level. So let's look at the target dimensions on what is acceptable accuracy when pushing yourself to the kind of to your limit of speed. And that is, we're gonna look at IDPA and USPSA and what their full point zones are, right? Their A zones. And if we're looking at USPSA first, really it's going to be about 6 inches. It's like, what is it, 5.91 inches, 5.92 inches across the chest. And it's going to be then 11.02, so 11 inches tall. So anywhere in that zone, you're going to get full points. There's a headshot zone, 3.94 inches across and 1.97 inches tall. And so, but generally speaking, if we're going to talk about the chest, if you're going to be within 6 inches across and 11 inches tall, you're going to get full points. So if you can be as fast as you possibly can and still hit within that zone, that's effective accuracy. That's all that it really matters, right? If we're going to look at IDPA, let me look at the target dimensions. I think it's, 8 inches, an 8-inch circle actually. So you can keep it within the diameter of an 8-inch circle. And then I think it's I'm going to say it's a 4-inch circle. I don't have it in front of me, but I'll annotate if it's differently than that. 4-inch circle in the face. And so if you can hit within that 8-inch circle and push yourself faster and work on all your other types of skills, right? Drawing from a holster or from a low ready position or some other position like that where you're really pushing your skills and getting yourself to be a little bit uncomfortable, safe, but uncomfortable so that you can push your skills to the next level. And that's why I would say this third standard is so much better than the other two, is because you're pushing yourself to be better and better and better, right? You're never stopping because you can always improve your time. Whereas if you complete all of the tasks in a qualification test, then you're good to go. Or if you just get really accurate in the point and shoot type of standard and you get it down to one small circle, you're also good to go and you don't have to worry about it. But with this standard, you're always pushing yourself to improve, and that's why it's the best. I would say that the point and shoot standard is very good for beginners, especially. For everyone, it's fun to just go to the range and shoot and stuff. That's fun too. But for beginners who are just learning the basics of pistols and how they work and how they function, point and shoot accuracy is more than enough, right? Getting used to the gun, how it kicks, how to get the sights back aligned and do all that kind of thing. That's a good standard for beginners. That's how I use it. That's how pretty much everybody uses it. And quite honestly, you don't want anyone to be unsafe by trying to draw from a holster the first time they've ever manipulated a gun, right? It just doesn't make any sense. So I would say that point and shoot's great for that. And then when you're getting a little bit better, go to these qualification courses. And then when you're getting better from that, I would say even move on to the competition type shooting where you're pushing it against the timer, where you're trying to get better and better and better. So what is good grouping with handguns? We would actually say if you took the two IDPA and USPSA and smashed the two A zones together, and you would take the 8-inch zone vertically and the 6-inch zone across, that would be kind of the gold standard for what is good handgun accuracy. So if you can keep all your shots within 6 inches across and 8 inches tall, you are going to be golden. It's going to be good enough for any qualification course, any competition course. It really is going to be where you want to be. Okay, you guys, we put a lot of work into this. Give us a thumbs up if you really like it. Comment down below on what standards you use, what's the most popular for you, and we will see you next time.